Cassandra Jennings.
We're going to take some testimony from you, so we'll need to have you raise your right hand, be sworn in, then we'll proceed.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Can you please state your full name for the record?
Cassandra Jennings.
Thank you. And how do you know Ms. Newby?
I have known her. We worked at Arby's together. We went to high school together. I think since about like 2006 or prior.
Okay. And do you know Mr. Walkowitz as well?
Yes.
And did you meet Mr. Walkowitz by being the boyfriend of Miss Newby?
No, I met him years before I knew Kristen in middle school, I believe.
And have you been acquaintances then with him since you met Kristen?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to go back to when Miss Newby and Mr. Walkowitz were still living together in the same home. Did you have occasions to see both parties interact with the children?
Yes.
Okay. And did you also have opportunities to see Miss Newby interact with the children without Mr. Walkowitz present?
Yes.
And what types of occasions would you, would there be where you would see the parties and the children together?
We would do like dinners on Sundays, multiple camping trips, just little get-togethers here, hanging out, doing different activities.
So you were social friends with Kristen and Mark?
Yeah.
And when you say you would do dinners on Sundays, what would you observe Kristen interacting with the children?
Very fun, lighthearted, caring, always making sure they had what they needed, getting their plates of food ready, stuff like that.
And would you also observe Mark doing the same with the children?
Not technically the same. I mean, he was there and involved, but I mean, Kristen was the one that was getting their plates of food and making sure that they had their food. And
now moving on from when you would have dinners, would you, you indicated that you went on multiple camping trips?
Yeah.
And do you have children?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Me and my husband have 4.
Okay. So would your two families go on camping trips together?
Yes.
Okay. And that's been throughout the years that you've known Kristen and Mark?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Could you estimate how many camping trips you've taken with them?
Probably over 10. We would go and, you know, we didn't have a camper, but we would stay with them. We would come hang out for the day, stuff like that.
Okay. And when you were on the camping trips,
excuse me, Your Honor. I hear voices in the back, and I don't know if that's somebody who is giving information for somebody, but I guess I would like the court to inquire.
Okay. It's my children.
Oh, okay.
I'm at home with my kids, so.
Okay. I assume they're not giving you information or telling you what to say.
No. No.
Okay.
They're 6 and 4, so.
Okay. Go ahead, Ms. Terranova.
Okay, thank you. So when you were on the camping trips with them, explain the things that Kristen would do with or for the children.
She was always on top of everything. She always had a schedule of the different activities, including like bingo, tie-dyeing the shirts, the dances that they would have, just different activities to make sure, okay, bingo's in 5 minutes, we got to go. Everybody grab their things, stuff like that.
And when it came to, I guess, meals and things when you were camping, who would prepare those?
I mean, mainly Kristen. They would work together and grill and stuff like that, but Kristen was the main one. I always seen her preparing everybody's plates, stuff like that.
Okay. And what did Mark do to help with the children when you were on these camping trips?
I think he would come along and participate and also make sure that everybody was doing what they needed to do. I felt more as though just he was there to kind of have fun and relax and hang out from work, while Kristen was the one making sure everything was planned out.
And did you have any concerns with how Kristen would parent the kids when you would see them?
No.
Okay. Do you have any concerns regarding Mark?
Not necessarily. I think some of the language, I mean, he was drinking beer a lot and almost making it like a competition, seeing how many beers he could drink. I know that was a big rift in their relationship about how much he would drink, and that was like more of a priority to him, was to be there to drink instead of having it like, a family thing and having everybody do the things together.
And then would Kristen be drinking as well?
She would have a few drinks, but not nearly as much as he would. I can recall a time where he was like, I'm on my 10th beer. How many more am I going to drink? I need to finish off this 12 pack. Or
were there occasions then where he was intoxicated in front of the children?
Yeah, I don't think he ever really was like completely wasted. I think he would drink so much that 12 beers wasn't really affecting him. Like, say, if I drank 12 beers, I'd be on the floor. So I don't think he was ever like belligerent or anything like that.
Okay.
I know there was a few times where they would argue and stuff like that, but
argue about the drinking?
I can't really recall, just about different stuff.
Okay. And so we've talked about dinners on Sunday, multiple camping trips. Were there other occasions where you would be at the home that they shared together?
Not necessarily. I mean, there was a few craft nights we did, like New Year's we would spend together.
And
it's not like I was living in the home.
No, I understand. Did you have occasion where would you observe anything of who the children would go to, whether it be mom or dad, if they needed anything?
Mainly they would go to mom. I think there was times where Kristen was like, your dad's right there, go talk to him. But yeah, mainly mom if they had a need or needed something.
Okay. What do you have any thoughts on how Mark would treat Kristen in front of the children?
Yeah, there was occasions where they would argue and bicker back and forth. There was a couple times where Kristen would call me and tell me about how Mark would
I'm going to object.
Come home.
Okay, ma'am, Ms. Jennings, you can't testify as to what somebody else told you was said by another party. Only what you observed. Okay.
Okay.
So regarding the question was, when you were with them, with Mark and Kristen, what were your observations on the way Mark would treat Kristen?
Just like belittling her here and there, like making stabs at her. There was a time where I was there and he was kind of upset that the house wasn't really cleaned up. So he started cleaning and he would be over doing the dishes and making a ruckus. But other than that, I mean, I wasn't there every day. There was just times where she would call me and let me know.
Again, Your Honor, I'm going to object.
I wasn't going to state anything further.
Okay.
Have you ever had occasions where you believe Mark acted inappropriately in front of the children or said anything inappropriate?
Yes, absolutely. There's just the language in general is lots of swear words. He always said this one quote, excuse my language, which was fucky. And he would say that in front of us girls. He would say it in front of my children, in front of his children. And there were occasions where I was like, can you not say that in front of my kids? Like, that's very inappropriate. I noticed that he used the N-word a lot. Just like, that, but I don't think that's appropriate for young children to hear, especially they're easily influenced and would maybe go back and say that in front of their school age friends. And
did he?
I'm sure there's. Go ahead.
Did you ask him to stop speaking that way in front of the children?
Oh yeah, I've said please don't talk like that in front of my kids, and I don't think he ever listened. I think he continued.
Your Honor, I'm going to object to the speculation listed the foundation for.
Well, she can testify whether he continued.
Yeah, and he did. I think there was probably multiple occasions where I was like, "Hello," and asked him to stop.
And do you, based on the or strike that, were there times that you spent time with Kristen and the children without Mr. Walkowitz present?
Yes.
Okay. And can you describe Kristen's interactions with the children?
I mean, she was great. She's very involved and attentive to their needs, making sure that they had medicine if they were sick, making sure, you know, if they had an accident and got a cut, like she was on top of getting the Band-Aids and cleaning it out and washing their hands and stuff like that.
Have you ever had occasions to be present with Mr. Walkowitz and the children without Kristen there?
I don't think so.
And do you have any knowledge if Kristen primarily takes care of the medical concerns for the children?
Yeah, we have Snapchat together, so she would send me pictures of her at the multiple doctor's visits, taking Trenton for his braces, doctor's visits, stuff like that.
Do your children attend the same school?
Yes.
Okay.
Our sons are in the same grade.
Okay. Have you had occasion to see Kristen at school activities?
Yes.
Okay. And have you seen Mr. Walkowitz as well as at school activities?
No. I think just like concerts here and there, but not like volunteering at the school for the parties and stuff.
Okay. But you would see Miss Newby there?
Yes.
I have nothing further.
Thank you.
Mr. Schaefer?
How many times did you see Mark at the school activities?
I really don't think I can recall any of the volunteer activities that we would do.
Okay, who is we?
Me and Kristen volunteering at the school.
Okay, you and Kristen
like,
volunteer. You and Kristen volunteer.
Well, our kids.
Okay, wait till I get my question out. I'll try not to talk over you, and we'll see if we can participate in it. Okay. All right. So these are things that you and Kristen would do at school as volunteer activities. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes. Parties.
Okay. All right. Very good. Now you had mentioned craft nights. Now, I assume that this was not an activity that you and Mark and your husband would participate in. There'd be something that you and Kristen participate in?
Yeah, I think there was occasions where all of us, our whole families were together.
Okay. And when was this time that you saw that Kristen took care of the Band-Aids and the scrapes and whatever else?
There's been multiple occasions at her home when we would be there having dinners or even at the campgrounds.
Give me a time and date, please.
I mean, I don't really have the dates and times.
Well, I take it from your testimony that you have remained friends with Kristen. Is that correct?
I'm sorry?
I take it from your testimony you've remained friends with Kristen.
Yes. When Kristen left.
Okay, just a second. I mean, that was my only question. Have you remained friends with Mark?
No, he cut ties with
Okay, all right. So you're not friends with Mark. When's the last time that you socialized with Mark?
Probably when they were together.
Give me a year, please.
Probably 2021.
And how often do you
I could be wrong.
Okay. How often do you socialize with Kristen?
Not too much anymore, but we still do have dinners here and there, maybe once a month.
When's the last time you had a dinner with Kristen?
Maybe we were there, I think, last month. I'm not sure about a date.
You were where?
This was kind of last minute for me. I'm sorry?
You were where last month?
With Kristen at her new residence with our kids, our children.
And your children, and what was Mr. Lafferty there?
Yes.
Okay. And have you become friends and socialized with Mr. Lafferty also?
Yes, I've known him since high school as well.
Did you know him before he got PTSD?
Objection.
Yes.
There's no foundation for or testimony and evidence that someone has PTSD.
Well, if he knows.
Yeah.
In relation to my question, did you know him before he got PTSD?
Yes, and I've known him after as well.
Okay, and when is your knowledge as to when he got PTSD?
Well, I'm assuming after he served.
Okay, again, the question is when?
I don't know what year he served.
All right, how many years do you think it is since you learned that he had PTSD?
I think since like 2018.
Okay. All right. Okay, you talked about the camping trips. Apparently, you were pretty close to both of these people at some point in time. If you took 10 camping trips with them, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and so apparently there was beer drinking at some of these camping trips by Mark and by Kristen, correct?
Yes.
And was there drinking by you?
No, I'm not a drinker at all.
Okay.
I would maybe have. I would maybe have like a wine. Excuse me.
Yes. Okay. Wait till I'm done. I'll try to wait till you're done.
Well,
how much would you drink at these trips?
Maybe a wine cooler if I had anything.
And how much would your husband drink?
The same. We don't drink very much.
Okay. So it was basically Mark and Kristen that would drink the beer. Is that correct?
Yeah, Kristen would have a couple.
Okay.
And Mark would make
okay, I don't have a question. But wait to the questions, please. All right. You indicated that you observed on these camping trips that Mark would help with meals at times. Is that correct?
Yes.
And I assume that he was the one who brought the camper there?
Yes.
Okay, and he helped set it up?
Well, I mean, getting it ready, taking it off the truck, but Kristen would be the one that was packing it and making sure everybody had everything they needed, including their clothes, their food, blankets, pillows.
Oh, okay. So
there was.
Okay, just a second. So you're saying that Kristen is the one who did all the work for the camping trips? Is that what I'm hearing?
Objection, Your Honor. I think that's paraphrasing what she's saying. She stated exactly.
That's absolutely paraphrasing. It's legitimate questions, cross-examination.
Absolutely. Yes, many times she would pack the whole camper.
Okay,
back and forth all day long.
Okay, whoa. Were you there?
You asked me a question.
Ma'am, okay, you've had a tendency on the questions a little bit to go on. When you've answered the question, stop at that point.
Okay.
If there's another question, then they'll ask.
Were you present when the packing took place?
A couple times, yes.
Oh, so you were over at Kristen's home when the packing took place for the camping trip?
Yeah, a couple times I would be there hanging out.
Okay, and so that was 2 out of 10 times that you were there at the packing process. What did you observe Mark doing at that time?
Sure. I mean, he was more than likely sleeping inside the house as she was going back and forth packing the camper.
My question is, what did you observe Mark doing?
I just said in the house.
Did you observe Mark doing anything?
No. He worked third shift, so he
I don't have a question.
Be sleeping most of the day.
I don't have a question. Okay, so.
I'm sorry. Okay.
What do you do for a living?
I am a stay-at-home mom to my 4 children.
Okay. What does your husband do for a living?
Objection relevant?
He helps his.
Hold on, ma'am. There's an objection. If there's an objection, you need to stop. What's the relevance?
Yeah.
Just a basic background. Don't intend to go through it, just to find out why these people are going camping with the other people's camping gear.
Well, court will sustain the objection. I do believe it's irrelevant.
When you went camping, you apparently were using the Walkowitz equipment. Is that my understanding?
Yeah, we would stay with them.
All right. And
if we spent the night.
Okay. Are you done? Okay. If you stayed the night.
Sure.
Okay. Where did you camp?
I just stated we would stay with them if we stayed the night. Mainly, we would go and hang out for the whole day and do the activities as a whole group.
Okay. All right. New question. Where did you go on these 10 camping trips? Location?
We stayed at Jellystone a few times, Tri-Lake Trails, and I think those were the main two places. We did stay at Fort Custer, but that's when they didn't have a camper. We stayed in tents.
Okay. How often, when Kristen and Mark lived in Albion together, did you visit their home there?
Well, like I said, we would do dinners on Sundays, and then occasionally I would go over and hang out.
You would occasionally go over and hang out, and was just Kristen there at that time?
No, I believe Mark was there, but he was sleeping. So she would always make sure to tell us, you know, be quiet, he's sleeping. We can't be loud.
All right. So you say Sundays. Are we talking every Sunday?
Not every Sunday at their house, but for a while, yeah, it was every Sunday we would have our Sunday dinners. We would have dinners at our house, their house.
And what time frame are we talking about? What year?
Probably like 2017, 2018, and then I think they split up.
So you didn't have any dinners at the Albion home after 2018?
Not while they were split up, but I believe afterwards there may have been a few when they got back together.
Well, tell me when they were, please.
Well, like I said, I'm not here with dates. I don't keep track of stuff, so.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Terranova?
There was a question about Mr. Lafferty having PTSD. Do you recall that from Mr. Schaefer?
Yeah.
Have you witnessed Mr. Lafferty around the children?
Yes.
Have you had any concerns about Mr. Lafferty's behaviors around or towards the children?
Absolutely not.
Okay. And regarding the drinking at the camping, is Mark drinking to excess when you're camping?
I just ask and answer, Your Honor. I didn't go into that beyond redirect.
Terranova?
Yes. Mr. Schaefer had in his question, in his redirect, asked regarding, he made the statement, Ms. Newby and Mr. Walkowitz were the ones drinking beers. So I'm trying to clarify that questioning.
Okay. Well, I do note that was a question about whether they were both drinking. So I guess I'll allow you to do it on a limited basis, Ms. Terranova.
Thank you. Would Kristen drink as much as Mr. Walkowitz?
No.
Okay. Do you believe that Mr. Walkowitz would be drinking to excess on these camping trips?
Your Honor, again, I'm going to object from her opinion. I mean, what she observed is one thing, and I would respectfully ask to be a foundation laid as to when and what.
Okay, maybe lay the foundation, Mr. Terranova.
You previously testified that Mr. Walkowitz would say that he was on his 10th beer, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then would he continue to drink after that?
Yes.
Okay. During these times then, was he caring during the times where he's drinking 10 beers? Is Mr. Walkowitz caring for the children, or is Kristen caring for the children?
Kristen.
Okay. Thank you. I have nothing further.
Follow up, Your Honor.
Mr. Schaefer? What?
When was this time that you observed him drink 10 beers?
I mean, 2017, there was probably a trip. After that, like 2021, like I said, I'm not exactly sure on the dates. I would have to go back through my pictures and my phone to write down exact dates. This was kind of last minute for me.
And when, where were you at in 2017 when you made this observation?
Tri-Lake Trails.
And 2021, where were you at when you made this observation?
Probably Tri-Lake Trails.
Well, do you recall?
Well, yeah, Tri-Lake Trails. That's where we would camp.
And in answer to your question, who was caring for the children? You said Kristen. Was not Mark caring for the children at the time that they were there?
No, like I said before, he was mainly there to drink and have fun with his buddies and do stuff like that. Kristen was the main one, making sure they were set up with what they needed.
Okay. And who else? Who were his buddies that he was with?
You'd like their names?
That'd be fine.
He had his friend Kevin. I think I've seen his friend Thomas there. They call him Tad. I can't really recall other buddies.
And which occasion?
I don't know all of his friends.
Which occasion was this that you're talking about Kevin and Tad?
Those were probably two different occasions. Probably 2021, 2020, in there somewhere.
Well, okay. Well, you had talked about 2017, 2021, but now we're talking about 2020.
Well, we've camped multiple times. I am not completely sure on which dates I was here with them, here and there, at which place.
Okay. And what? How many beers would Kristen drink during these times?
Maybe a couple. I don't think I've ever seen her drink more than 2 or 3 beers.
And
I feel like that.
Okay.
Go ahead.
And would that be the normal amount that she would drink on each of these occasions, 2 or 3 beers?
Yeah, maybe 2 at the most.
Well, 2 or 3 is different than 2 at the most. So is it 2 or 3, or is it 2 at the most?
I mean, anywhere from 2. I've never seen her drink more than 3 beers ever.
Okay. And who was she drinking with?
Well, I mean, we were all at the campground together.
So she was drinking with her buddies too then, correct?
Well, yeah.
And she was drinking it to have fun, was she not?
Yes.
Okay.
I think.
Okay, very good. What characteristics did you observe of Mr. Lafferty in relation to his PTSD?
Honestly, I can say that I have never seen him act out of character. I've never seen him get upset. I've never seen him raise his voice to Kristen or call her names.
Okay, so the answer is nothing? You have no characteristics of PTSD? Are you aware of his criminal history?
No, I'm not.
Okay. No further questions, Your Honor.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Ms. Jennings. That will conclude your testimony, and you're excused. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, you too.
Okay. Is it, I can't see your name that well. Is it Foss?
Actually, it's Ashley Gibson.
Gibson, okay. Ms. Gibson, we're going to take some testimony from you. So if you would, raise your right hand. We'll have you sworn in, and then we'll proceed.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
And are you the sister of Kristen Newby?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And you know both, obviously your sister, but you know Mr. Walkowitz as well, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And did you know Mr. Walkowitz other than dating your sister? Is that the only way that you know him?
No, that was the first time I met him.
Okay. And then, so you've known him for at least as long as Trenton's been born, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And did you have I'm going to start when the children were younger. Did you have opportunities to see Mr. Walkowitz and your sister interact with their children?
Yes, many times.
Okay. And go ahead.
I am very close with my sister. So, I mean, I've been very involved and I've spent the night there and spent a lot of time with them.
Okay. A lot of time at their home together?
Yep.
Okay. And would there be opportunities where you would spend time with the parties and the children outside of their home as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Family functions, family get-togethers?
Yep. Trips. Yeah.
Okay. And would you explain, or you described your relationship as close? Is that close with the minor children?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Prior to the separation of your sister and Mark, did you have a good relationship with Mark as well?
Yeah.
When going back to when they lived together and the children were younger, did either Kristen or Mark care for the children like more one than the other? Ms. Gibson, you started to tell us about who would be caring for the minor children, and I'm focusing on when they were younger.
Yeah. My sister would be the main one. And if Mark was helping, it would be at her prompting. So she would be asking him to do X, Y, and Z, and then he would do it.
Okay. But Mark would help.
Provider.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mark would help.
Yeah.
Okay. And how would you describe the relationship that your sister has with the minor children?
I mean, she's an amazing mom. She is very close with her children. She lives for them. So they're she's just amazing.
And would you describe Kristen as a good mother?
Yes.
Is she attentive to the children?
Yes.
And can you give examples of how she is attentive to the children?
Knowing what they need before they need it, providing care for their uniforms, making sure everything is clean, for them, food, like what they want to eat, snacks, always making sure that they had ample food on even a small car trip. Just always attentive, caring, compassionate, thinking ahead.
Would the children come to Miss Newby if they were injured or needed comfort?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have occasions to see the children go to Mark for those things as well, for comfort or if they were injured?
I can't recall. I couldn't say either way, but I don't have memory of it.
Sure. And I'm speaking about times when Mark and Kristen are both together and both there.
No.
And do you see the children showing signs of affection with your sister, Kristen?
Yeah.
And what are those?
Coming up and hugging her, telling her they love her out of nowhere, wanting to be around her all the time. I'll ask them to stay the night and they just want to be with mom.
Would the children also hug their father as well?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And are you still seeing the children as much now as you did when they were younger?
Yep.
Okay, so it's been consistent, the amount of
time.
Yeah,
I did move to Bay City for 4 years. So that there was a 4-year period where I lived out of town, but I still came into town and was still a part of family gatherings and would come and stay several days in a row to visit. So, but yeah, it's always been consistent.
Okay. And do you have any concerns with Kristen's parenting of the minor children?
No.
Did you, based on any observations of Mark with the minor children, do you have any concerns with his parenting?
No.
Go ahead.
I didn't really observe him alone with the children. I think that Mark does have anxiety. And so I do wonder if on his own, if he had all 3 children on his own and an emergency was to happen, how he would react to that.
Your Honor, I'm going to object to the speculation. That's beyond anything that's probative.
Sustained.
You just had, to your knowledge, has Mr. Walkowitz been diagnosed with anxiety?
No.
You mean you have no knowledge, or no, he hasn't been diagnosed?
I have no knowledge of his medical records.
Okay. And then has he told you that he believes he suffers from anxiety?
Yes.
Has he ever appeared in your presence anxious when he's caring for the minor children?
Yes.
And can you give examples of?
Okay, I can start when Trenton was a baby. I spent the first year of Trenton's life living next door. And then, so I would always have to come back over and stay until Kristen got home. And then as the children got older, he always wanted someone with him. Like I would come over and have the kids with him, or my mom a lot.
And during these times, was Kristen at work?
Yes.
And is that when she was cleaning homes or working at Arby's?
Arby's was when Trenton was a baby.
Okay. And do you recall the last time, I don't need a specific date, but maybe a year of when you went to their home to care for the minor children?
Would have been 2021. I believe is the last time that I watched the children at the home.
And on that occasion, were you watching the children so both of them can leave, or was it you were watching the children?
No, for both of them to leave.
Okay. Do you recall the time frame of the last time when Mr. Walkowitz asked you to come assist with the care of the children?
That would have been when the girls were little.
Okay.
Probably, yeah.
And when you would he indicate to you that he needed the help and that's why he wanted you to come over?
I'm going to object to the leading question, Your Honor. This is her witness.
Maybe set a foundation, Ms. Terranova.
Thank you. I'll just rephrase that. So there were times where you would assist with caring for the children, correct?
Yeah, there were times that I was there, yeah.
And was Mr. Walkowitz present as well?
Okay. But yeah, it would be him calling me and asking me if I could come, like if Kristen was going to be gone or had something going on. He would just call and see if I would come over and hang out.
And you'd be agreeable to helping him with this task?
Can you repeat that? Sorry.
I said, and you would be agreeable and go help him with the task?
Definitely. But a lot of times when the girls were little, my mom lived in the home. So a lot of times if Kristen was leaving, my mom would be there assisting Mark.
I'm going to object to the speculation, Your Honor, unless she was there.
I was there.
Your Honor, on her last question, when she said when she wasn't there, her mother was there to assist. So she's saying she wasn't there, so we don't know what the mother did.
Yeah, ma'am, you can't speculate as to what somebody else did when you weren't around.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I understand it happens, but just tell us what you've observed.
Okay.
If I've observed like being on the phone with my mom while she's there with the kids, does that count?
No, you can't state what your mother said. That's hearsay.
Okay, that's fine.
When he would call you for to come help, would he explain to you why he needed you to come over?
It was, yeah, in a way, it was. I just knew, like being there, knowing the situation. So he would call me to hang out, like when Trenton was little, like he'd be like, hey, come back, you know. So it wasn't like he's like, oh my God, I'm freaking out. He would always make an excuse for me to come back.
And then this continued when the twins were born?
Yeah.
Since the children have gotten older, has Mr. Walkowitz called you as much to come over?
No.
Okay. And when Kristen would be caring for the 3 children, would she call you to come over to help with their care?
Your Honor, could we have a time frame? These are so general questions. I don't know how we ever have an idea. Are we talking in 2010, 2015, yesterday? I think there should be a foundation laid.
Let's get a time frame.
Fair enough. When Trenton and the 2 twins were younger, would Kristen call you to help with their care?
No, she'd call me to come over and hang out, but not to help with their care. No. Okay. If she was going to be outside of the home, yes.
Sure. When you would go over there, did you observe Kristen having the capability to care for all 3 of the children?
Yes.
And was she able to do so on her own?
Yes.
Let's put a time frame on it. At the beginning, when the children were younger, how did Mr. Walkowitz treat Kristen in front of the children?
Arguments.
Your Honor, I think we're beyond the scope of the motion. Normally, these go back to the last order, and that's at 16. So I don't know. I think this is beyond that realm.
Okay, Ms. Terranova?
I'm fine with that, Your Honor.
Okay.
So after 2016, what is your observations of how Mr. Walkowitz treats Miss Newby in front of the children?
Yelling, name calling, negativity, belittling. I think that there was an expectation, and if she didn't meet that expectation, or
I'm going to object to the speculation, Your Honor.
It's not okay.
Well, you can't probably tell what somebody else's expectation
no, I
is,
apologize.
ma'am.
I apologize.
So I'll sustain the objection.
Thank you, Ms. Gibson. What would he say to her exactly?
Things like get a real job. Bitch. He liked that word a lot.
And are these statements that were made when the children were present?
Yes.
How would the children react when they observed their father talking to their mother like that?
I mean, they would get upset, but honestly, eventually they got used to it.
How often would this occur?
Oh, I mean, often. It was a regular occurrence.
How would Kristen react when Mr. Walkowitz would say these things to her?
Your Honor, again, I would respectfully ask that we have some time frame. I don't know. I assume we're after 2016, but these are so general, I don't know how we ever pin anything down. I would ask for a time frame when.
If you could qualify, Ms. Terranova, make sure it's after 2016.
Sure. Ms. Gibson, we are only referencing times after 2016. Do you understand?
I do understand that, yes.
Okay. So when you say often that he was making these statements, is that consistently after 2016 that it was often?
Yes.
Okay. And you don't remember every single date, every single fight that the parties had, or every single time that you were at their house. Is that correct?
Correct.
Is it fair to say, when you say often, is it more than 50% of the time that you would be together with them?
Yes.
And was that consistent from 2016 until the last time that you interacted with the both of them?
Yes.
Okay. How would Kristen react to these behaviors from Mr. Walkowitz?
She would cry and get upset. and try to, you know, she'd react like it would hurt her. She wanted the happy family, you know.
Objection, Your Honor, speculation.
Sustained.
That's fine.
Sorry, I apologize.
So have you had opportunities to observe Miss Newby with the children since she and Mr. Walkowitz have broken up?
Yes.
And do you see the same bond with the children and behaviors that you testified as to you saw when they were together with
Yes.
Miss Newby?
Yes.
Does Miss Newby continue to parent in the same manner as she did on what you're able to observe now as she did when the parties were living together?
Yes.
Based on your observations, do you believe that one parent was the primary provider for the children than the other?
Yes.
And which parent is that?
Kristen.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have nothing further.
Okay, Mr. Schaefer.
Thank you. Well, certainly you would agree that Mark is the primary provider for the family and has been throughout this relationship.
Yes.
He was the working party of this family, correct?
My sister worked also, but yes, he was the primary.
Okay, your sister working now?
Yes.
Where does she work?
She works for an accounting office.
And do you know how many hours she's working?
I think she works about 20 a week. Right now she's laid off because the accountant had surgery.
Okay, so she's not working at the present time.
Well, no,
Correct.
currently she is laid off, yes. But yes, she has employment.
And it's a little unclear to me. When is the last time that you saw the children with both parents?
That would have been, I was actually there shortly before they, would have been right around the time they split was the last time that we were all together.
And your knowledge, what was that date?
That would have been March of 2021, correct? I'm horrible with.
So you think that's March of 21, is that correct?
What I believe, I'm not, I don't know. I don't know the exact date. I know it was in 2021. It was when Kristen and Mark split up.
And when was, where was it at that you saw them?
At the home in Albion.
In the Albion home, the one that belongs to Mark's mother, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And what was the occasion that you happened to be there in March of 21?
I believe I was just visiting. Actually,
Okay.
I think I was coming down. I think I came down because I moved shortly after that. I think I had actually was coming down to put a job application in.
Okay, you said that you had gone to Bay City for a 4-year stretch, correct?
Yep. Yep.
And what were the years that you were in Bay City?
That would have been 2018 to 2021. Or no, excuse me. Yeah, 2021.
So you saw these people a lot less.
I'm off on my year. That would have been 2022. I'm sorry.
Okay. So you were in Bay City from?
That would have been March 22.
Okay. All right. So your recollection now is that you were in Bay City from 2018 to 2022. Is that correct?
Yeah, 2017 to 2022.
Okay. We're
November 2017. So to April 2022. I apologize.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, just as long as I've got it straight now, you were in Bay. Okay, let me finish now before you respond. All right. Do I understand you correctly that you were in Bay City from November of 2017 until April of 2022?
Correct.
What was the occasion that you happened to see and be with the Mark and your sister and the kids in March of 22?
That would have, I would have come down, if I'm remembering correctly, what that visit was, is I came down to put a job application in. And so I was just coming down to do that. And so I stayed with them.
And it would be fair to state, would it not, that between November 2017 and April 2022, that you would have had less contact with this family unit since you were in Bay City?
Less than what I did before, yes.
During that time period, how often would you see your sister and the kids and Mark?
About every 3 months.
Every 3 months?
Yeah. 2 to 3 months. Sometimes more, sometimes never longer than 3 months.
You went through and made some general statements, and we didn't have much of a time frame. One thing you said that there was a comment about Mark saying, get a real job, call her a bitch. And so my question is, when was that event?
I cannot give you a specific fight. Those were just general, like the normal things that would, so like that I've heard him say. I can't give you a specific fight or date or event, but it was a normal occurrence for words to be spoken. Just like, not, it didn't have to be a big fight or anything. It could just be.
I'm trying to locate when. And
I apologize. This would have been while Kristen and Mark were together. So it would have been, I would say that it really started after the girls were born. So let's say that it would be 2000, but there's not like a specific date. It's just,
wait, you finish your sentence. It had to have been 2000 what?
The girls were born in 2014.
So do you recall this being said in 2014?
Your Honor, I object. Your Honor, objection. I believe that the witness has testified that I don't know a specific date. It's happened over time. In direct examination, she said from 2000 to 16, it was often. I think she's answered the question that she doesn't have a specific date and time of when this occurred.
Well, it is cross-examination. I'll allow him to go into it for a little bit to at least get the dates better if that's possible.
How do you know that this is after 2017 and not before, excuse me, after 2016 and not before 2016?
Well, sir, you wanted me to be specific about after 2016. So, I mean, it happened from 2014 to 2022.
Well, so you're saying,
like, I can't give you, like, I was in the home and have witnessed many arguments between Mark and Kristen.
Okay, so this is not a one-sided argument, is it? Kristen had her position and she was verbally responding to Mark, correct?
Yeah.
And probably not a nice language either.
Not always, no.
Okay, so if she got called a bitch, she got called something else, correct?
Not always, no.
Well, how about the times that he was? What do you recall her calling him?
I can't give you a name. What I remember from those incidents when he would call her a bitch, her response would be, great. Thanks for calling the mother of your children that. So that would be her response to when he would.
Okay, we got a narrow time period here from 2016. You were gone 4 years, 2017 to April of 2022, and you only saw them every 3 months then. So there's a year before that. So are you talking about things that happened way back when? Before 2016?
Nope, I'm talking about 2016 and after.
How often would you be in the home in Albion in 2016?
At least every other day or more.
Every other day?
Or every day. When Trenton was in school, I would pick him up from school and drop him off at the house. So then it was every day.
So how old were the girls at that time, the twins?
The girls would have been probably 1 or 2. I'm bad with. Yeah, they would have been 1 or 2.
Well, they were born in what year?
14.
14. How often do you talk to your sister now about this matter?
How often do we talk about it?
Yes.
She expresses her feelings, but not very often.
Well, not very often, a lot of times. Okay, in the last month, how many times have you talked to your sister about this matter?
About this matter specifically, I couldn't give you an exact number. What are you?
Try. I mean, is it more than 2?
Probably, yes.
More than 10?
No.
And when's the last time you talked to her about this matter?
Yesterday, if you want to be specific, when we made arrangements for me to take the kids to the courthouse. I mean.
Okay, so you're the one who took the kids to the courthouse, is that correct?
Correct.
Do you suggest that Mark, during the time that you have observed this family unit, did not participate as a co-parent of these 3 children?
That's not what I'm saying at all.
Okay, you agree that he was a co-parent for these children basically all their life, correct?
He was in the home, yes.
Wait a minute, in the home and being a co-parent are different. You understand the difference of that, do you not?
Yeah.
Do you have children?
Yes, I do.
How many children do you have?
I have 1.
You told us about a number of occasions when Mark apparently was taking care of the infants alone while Kristen was working. Is that your recollection?
Objection. No, I don't think she testified to that. I don't believe that was her testimony at all.
Well, I believe it was when she said that you got a call because Mark was taking care of the child when Kristen was working.
Okay. That's my recollection of it. So maybe get clarification.
Okay. I can clarify.
Okay, well, let me ask you the question. Did you not testify that you got calls from Mark when there were infants there and Kristen was at work?
When Trenton was a baby, I would have Trenton while Mark and Kristen were at work. And then Mark would get home first. I would cook dinner for us. We would eat dinner, Owen and I, my son and I. And then in the evening time, I would go home to put my son in bed and do our routine. And not even 5 or 10 minutes later, I would get a call from Mark to come back. Eventually, I just stayed until my sister would get home and would put Trenton to bed and put Owen to bed. And then I would go home when she got home.
So what I suggested was correct. There was time that he was caring for the child alone when Kristen was working, that you get a call to come back and help. Is that correct?
Yeah, it would be about 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay, all right.
No longer than a half an hour.
And you also said that you got calls from your sister to come over and hang out at the time that she was caring for the child alone, correct?
Yeah.
And you also said
spend time with them. Yeah, to come and do crafts, watch movies, hang out, do sister things.
And Mark gave some sort of excuse to come over and hang out, not come over and help me out because I can't take care of the child.
I can't give you specifics of what he said because it was so long ago, but it would be, a numerous things would happen and I would have to come back.
You haven't got such a call in the last 5 years from Mark, have you?
No.
The last call you got was when the twins were a year old, correct?
I can't tell you when the last time I got a call is. I can't recall an exact, so I can't give.
Well, in the last 5 years, have you got a call from Mark?
No, I haven't in the last 5 years. No.
Okay, very good.
The girls are about to be 9.
I understand that, but you haven't got a call at least the last 5 years.
No.
Correct. Okay. Do you believe that the children love Mark?
Yeah.
You believe that they have a close relationship?
Yeah. I think that they're.
Okay, just a second.
They love their dad. Yeah.
I okay. Don't have a question.
Sorry.
Were you aware when your sister left the home in March of 22 and the separation took place?
Yeah.
Did you have conversation with your sister before that happened?
I think it was while it was happening, if I remember correctly.
What do you mean while it was happening? The day it happened?
Yeah, as it was happening, yeah.
Okay. Are you aware that your sister has expressed that she was going to keep the children from Mark unless there's certain property returned to her?
From my understanding of that is not how it happened.
And your understanding comes from what source?
From the timeline of events and witnessing that.
And witnessing what?
The children going with Mark, even though property hasn't been returned.
Okay, when did you observe the children going with Mark?
I've observed them going with him several times.
When? I'm talking about 2022?
Yeah, since the separation.
All
I
right.
haven't seen my sister keeping the children from him.
Okay, but you're not privy to the conversations between the two parties, correct?
I can't tell you that, no.
Okay.
No.
Has
But I
your
am
sister,
here.
did your sister ever tell you that she wasn't going to give the children to Mark after October 28th unless she got her property back?
No, she has never said that to me.
Okay. Are you aware that she has confided in the children about the behavior of their father in a demeaning way?
No, I am not aware of that.
You would agree, would you not, that would not be appropriate for the minor children to hear?
No, it wouldn't.
Yeah. No further questions, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Terreno, go ahead.
Thank you. You just testified that it wouldn't be appropriate if your sister was having communications with the minor children concerning their dad. Do you agree it's not appropriate for the children to watch their parents' court case via Zoom?
Yeah.
Okay. You testified that in regard to Mark being a co-parent and that he was in the home. Can you explain what you meant by that to Mr. Schaefer, your answer to that question?
What I meant by that is my sister was the primary caregiver. So she was the person that took care of all their needs, and Mark would help when she asked. So like I said before, any help was at her prompting, her, asking him, hey, can you please do X, Y, and Z for the kids? But a majority of the work was Kristen's when it came to the children. Mark provided financially, and that is what I witnessed of him. I'm not saying that he didn't spend time with his kids or anything like that, but primary care for the children was done by Kristen.
I have nothing further. Thank you.
I have a follow-up, Your Honor. Yep. So that's based on you having contact with them once every 3 months from November of 2017 until April of 2022. Is that correct?
Yeah, a guesstimate. Sometimes it was less than 3 months, and some.
Yeah, I understand. That's for your testimony. It averaged out about every 3 months.
Yep.
Okay. So there was a lot of time that you don't have personal knowledge as to what went on and who did what and so forth, correct?
Well, I do, but only from what I witnessed with my eyes, it would be during those time periods.
Sure. Okay. And you kind of said a hyperbole, did you not, when you said that she took care of all the needs of the children? Mark has taken care of the needs of the children also, has he not, in your estimation?
Yeah, I guess I should refer. Yes, not that he's never. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you use the word all needs, and that's all inclusive. And you admitted later that he financially has supported his children. He helps on a lot of things, correct?
Okay. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I should not have used all needs.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Gibson. That will conclude your testimony. You're excused. Have a wonderful day.